So a while back I made a video. It has been about 4 months since I released that video, and in those 4 months I have read 14 books and I'm currently in the process of reading 2 more. So in today's video we are going to take the 16 authors that I have read in the past 4 months and their country of origin, using this unnecessarily shiny world map and my handy dandy nail file right here. We are going to scratch off every country that I have read a book from. This list of books would be a little bit longer, but I'm not going to be counting any books that I read before 2025. It is my absolute pleasure, I've been wanting to make this video for a long time, to welcome you to episode 1 of my Reading Around the World challenge. And I'm excited. It's definitely more books than I've read in a very, very long time, and April was a pretty slow reading month for me, so I'm happy to kind of hop back on the wagon and start reading a little bit more. Also, this map has kind of just been staring at me like the Green Goblin mask. Anytime I hold a quarter in my hand, it's just like, do it, scratch me off. So on my phone right now, I have a list of every book I've read so far this year, as well as the author's country of origin, which is how I'm doing this. So for example, if like an American author wrote a love letter to Japanese culture, I would still count it as an American book and not a Japanese book, if that makes sense. So on my list right here, I have 3, 6, 7, 8 countries that have been represented once. I have 1 country that has been represented twice, and then the United States, still leading the charge, unfortunately, has been represented 9 times on my Reading Around the World challenge so far. I feel weird, even though the United States has been represented so many times, I feel weird scratching out this entire section technically for like 1 book or 1 represent, right? Like I read Crime and Punishment and I gotta scratch off all this for Russia. That's kind of crazy. But just so y'all know, the books that I read for the United States are Stoner by John Williams, Beautyland by Marie Helen Bertino, Educated by Tara Westover, The Shining by Stephen King, A People's History of the United States, which is one of the books that I'm reading right now, by Howard Zinn, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, another book that I'm reading right now. We also have The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, Hamilton, The Revolution by Jeremy McCarter and Lin-Manuel Miranda, as well as Basketball by Dan Flores, Jackie McMullen, and Rafe Bartholomew. That rounds out the 9 books. I'll use my phone for this because I want to make sure y'all get a pretty decent angle on this. I haven't scratched anything on this before, so like, do I just go crazy? Like, oh, that's wicked. Oh, that's so cool. And there's stuff. Man, I really hate Wyoming, it looks like. All right, I'm switching to this like plastic gift card I have because I don't want to accidentally rip through the plastic with the metal. I mean, I don't even know if this is plastic, but I'm just worried about like ripping something. Okay, hey, we're putting in work. I realize now that I probably should have done a before and after. So we're just gonna forget about the United States like most people should. So we're gonna do that. And then, okay, so that's what the before looks like right now. This is what we got going on right now for the States. I kind of like leaving a little bit of a border, and that's not just me not wanting to get everything out. I switched to this kind of pen cap for like, there were like little bits and pieces. I don't know if y'all could see like that right there. And this pen cap does a pretty good job of just like scraping off those little bits. And then I also use this dime right here. I switched from the card I was using. This did not work at all. So I switched to this little combo of the dime and the pen cap, and I think that worked out pretty well. I already know this is going to be harder than I thought it was, just scratching everything, and then my OCD head is going to be like, but I didn't scratch it perfectly. And also, why aren't y'all helping? Y'all are just standing there watching me do this, putting in all the work and effort. We're a team, and it seems like I'm the only one getting minutes right now. We'll deal with this at the next team meeting. All right, next up. Let's see, I believe we have the United Kingdom, which had 2 books on this list. Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and then we also had Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian / Jillian McAllister. Where even is the UK? Hey, dumb American alert. We like, I don't know. Okay, I see it. I'm gonna have to ask a dumb question. Is Scotland part of the United Kingdom? Is Ireland part of the United Kingdom? All right, for my UK viewers, I don't know y'all zoning laws, so I'm only going to scratch out this little part right here. Scotland and Ireland, you're good, I promise. And that is what we have of the United Kingdom. All right, so those are the only two countries that were represented more than once in my reading so far this year. So now we're just gonna go one by one. The next country we have is Canada, and this is one of the nonfiction reads I have on this list. We have Outlive by Bob Pettit, I think, and Peter Attia. I only have Peter Attia on my list right now, but I know there were two authors on this book. Bill Gifford. Oh, I have to do Alaska too? I didn't do Alaska. I didn't do Alaska. We got to do Alaska. And I got to do Hawaii. I'm goofing and gabbing. Like, this is bad. All right, so I scratched off Hawaii right there. Where does Greenland end and Canada begin? So, like, Canada's right here. This is all of Canada. Is that Canada? I'm going to say it is. I'm going to say that right there, that little separating factor, this is Greenland. I'm going to assume that's Greenland. No, that's Iceland. This is Greenland. And then all of this, I'm counting as Canada. And then we also have to do Alaska. So we're going to be shaving all of this. A little bit of a closer look. I kind of like the green a lot for Canada. I think it contrasts really well with the blue right here. Russia is all of this right here. Such a big chunk of the map just because I read one book. But it was a pretty big book, so I'll take all this. I want to see if I can do a good transition. I've been practicing my transition game with my editing and my videos and stuff. So watch this, watch this. All right, that should look pretty good. I just got to remember to add. All right, y'all, Russia has been completed. Kazakhstan, you had a little bit of some Russian invasion, but what's new? And Mongolia, there's a little bit up there, and a little bit up there in China, too. Our next country, which is Iran, and the book I read from Iran is Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. I'm pretty sure Iran is pretty small. Oh, no, actually. I am very much surprised. I was thinking about Iraq, not Iran. But yeah, this shouldn't take too long. I also got a new tool. This is a piece of like hardened plastic I found that I cut and rounded out. And that made Russia so much easier than the United States or Canada. Oh my God, that's terrible. Yeah, I don't think this map is of the highest quality, and I'm not the highest quality map scraper. So we're just gonna have to take the good with the bad, you know? Iran has been completed, and I'm really messing with this like light green vibe that goes against this like purplish pinkish color really well. That's Belgium right there, the #1. That's crazy. It's so tiny. Just as quickly as it has been found, Belgium has been scratched off. #2 right there, Luxembourg, the smallest country I've ever seen. Know that there's a lot of countries, but there's also a lot of colors. So the fact that this for Mexico looks pretty similar to the same color for Russia, I'm not really vibing with. I feel like, excuse me, you could have found a different color that doesn't have these looking so similar. And Ireland is right there next to the UK, so it's not too bad. All right, so we got Ireland out of the way, and then I noticed that the color for Scotland was the same as the color for the UK, so I just scratched that off too. And as I hope many of us would know, China, pretty big. So I'm a little worried about all these small little islands right here, especially when you get towards like where Japan and Taiwan are. But this big chunk, I think, should come off pretty easily. So let's get started. China has been squared away. You see a little bit of Mongolia. Mongolia getting invaded from both sides. And a couple little bits and scratches here and there. But so far, China looks pretty nice. All right, that light right there is so bright, it's not even funny. But this is the updated scratch-off map. You can see North America's being taken care of pretty well. We have a little bit in Europe, and then we also have Russia, China, and Iran, kind of Eastern Asia, getting a little bit of representation there. All right, y'all, but I think that's going to be it for today's video. I definitely think it looks way better now that some of the colors are exposed. And like I said in the intro, like I've been wanting to do this for a real long time. And while I recognize that that isn't like the most high quality poster, and I probably could have used something a little softer to scratch off some of the countries. I still like the way it looks. I think in the future I'd want to get something that's like pretty gigantic, like one of those maps that fills up like an entire wall or something like that, and then maybe do like push pins or something, but that would even still be a problem with like smaller countries. But I do really like having like a visual representation of the books that I've read, or at least where those books are from, and I think it looks cool, and I'm proud of myself for reading books from like all of these various countries, even though the US was represented I think 9 times if I remember correctly. But I can't wait to see what this looks like in 4 months, and I definitely can't wait to see what this looks like towards the end of the year. Like I can definitely envision a lot more of this being filled out by the end of the year, like no question. And then just a quick little rundown of the countries before we end today's video. We have the United States, Canada, the UK, Russia, Iran, Belgium, Mexico, Ireland, and China. And I think that's 9 countries if I know how to count, which I barely know how to read, if I know how to read at all. So I hope 9 is the correct number. And it's so cool, like on my list right here, like these are the countries that I have so far. And then look at all these books and all these authors that I've read from. Like, I think that's so cool. I hope that y'all think this is as cool as I think it is. And I hope that y'all stick around to kind of see the progression of countries, to see the progressions of this kind of reading around the world challenge. Again, shout out to Emmy Reed. She kind of inspired all of this. If you haven't checked out her channel, it will be linked down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you liked anything that I said or did or talked about. I know we didn't talk too much about the actual books that represented each country on this scratch off map. So if you're interested in that, just go through my channel. All of the books that I mentioned in these videos, besides the 2 that I'm currently reading, I have talked about in some way, shape, or form in my last videos since at least the year started. So if you're interested in any of the books specifically, just look through the channel. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. But that's going to be it for realsies. I hope you do something that makes you happy. I hope you do something that makes you some money, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace. Bow.